Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Merle Maigre. Indeed, I am the Program Director of Cybersecurity at eGovernance Academy, and it is a great pleasure of mine to lead today this discussion on the cyber resilience of democratic processes. True, we focus on the region of Western Balkans, but I think the discussion has relevance for the wider area, because the problems that we are tackling that are related to cyber resilience and election cybersecurity are not unique for the Western Balkans, but are more general. So it is of utmost pleasure of mine to invite in this discussion to join me on the panel good friend Dusan Polovic, head of the cybersecurity department of the Ministry of Public Administration of Montenegro. Thank you, Dusan, for being here in Tallinn with us.
Hi, Merle.
Hi. Professor Igli Tafa, the National Cybersecurity Coordinator in Albania. And last but not least, Dr. Priit Vinkel, good friend and colleague from the eGovernance Academy, but also the former head of the Estonian State Electoral Office. We're planning on also having Dr. Azir Aliu, the Minister of Information Society and Administration from North Macedonia, but unfortunately he's being caught up in the meeting with his Prime Minister and the Estonian Prime Minister. It seems that the discussion of theirs is so engaging that he will not be able to make it to the panel, or maybe towards the end. But nevertheless, I'm really proud to have these fine gentlemen here to discuss what is really important. For starters, I'm stating the basic and obvious, yet very important. Elections are touching a core moment of the citizen's life in democracy. Voting during elections is really at the heart of democracy. You probably all know that, but I think it's important to establish this at the beginning. Securing free and fair elections in the one person, one vote principle is a fundamental pillar of a functioning democracy. So as we are tackling issues related to this, the Western Balkans, as I said, is not alone, but democratic processes in the Western Balkans, as elsewhere in the world, are growingly relying on various digital services. These services are also growingly becoming targets of various cyber attacks. Cyber attacks, both technical, influence attacks, and sometimes also the good old analog threats and risks. This panel discusses these challenges, how to conduct secure elections in the digital era, what are the measures, what kind of measures can we build in cyber resilience throughout the democratic processes. One thing is sure, the matter is not technical merely, but it definitely covers wider area. So perhaps, Priit, I would first turn to you as part of this project that was funded by the European Commission. We published a freshly minted report on election cybersecurity that identified the challenges of cyber resilience and also comes up with some of the recommendations. Priit, perhaps to get us going, could you share some of the findings, key findings from the report that you just got published, so that those who are interested could grab a copy and hear why is it that this is relevant?
Great, thank you, Merle, and thank you for all your interest in this topic, because this is important. Elections are important, although, as Merle already said, it's not important how much of a digitally run elections you have. All the election, let's say, processes that precede the election day and then that come after the election day, more or less already in our societies have to do with technology and are in the risk of, or at least in some way, in the risk of some adverse actions. So indeed, this report was done based on this rapid project, but I would actually steer away a bit from the actual fact that it was made based on the very good cooperation of the Montenegrin government and other stakeholders in the country, because most or even all the let's say outcomes of this report are more or less universal. Because what actually are the important, let's say, pillars of resilience in any system? There are three of them. I would more or less say them. There's coordination and cooperation. It's human resources, and then technology. So the more important than even technology is actually the human resource and how this human resource is actually communicating and coordinating in between each other. So for that reason, the main outcomes or the risks we actually got from this process mainly come from the need for better coordination, the need for better, let's say, better networking in between the different stakeholders in the country, and getting the most out of it, especially in a setting that is in a small country. Montenegro is a small country, Estonia is a small country. There's a lot of small countries that need to get more out of this fact that cooperation is key. In Estonia, the network model of during elections is the most important factor to actually adhere to, that different government institutions and stakeholders also outside the government cooperate during that very critical time and very important time in the society. So I think that's important to reiterate here. Also that the need for the awareness raising and the need for cyber hygiene and cyber awareness raising of the wider public, but also the officials, is crucial. That there needs to be understanding of the risks, and there needs to be understanding what kind of mitigation measures there are to actually mitigate those risks. And when you come to technology, yes, technology always should come, and at least I firmly believe that technology is only as good as the person or the people who actually are using this or making the technology useful, that there need to be better understanding of the legacy problem that there's in very many occasions, that the technology solutions that they are need to be constantly upgraded, constantly patched, and understood that there are risks tied to the fact that maybe something that was acquired more closely to 10 years ago might need some more, let's say, patching and more awareness of the risks that come with legacy software and some hardware solutions. So maybe these three most important pillars that are not specifically one country specific, but go to a lot of other situations as well.
Thank you, Priit. Indeed, I think someone just noted, and I guess you would agree, that the elections cannot be more digital than the government that they support. But picking a little bit more, and I admit this was the question I planned to ask the minister, but I would ask this from you, because as the former head of the election office, you probably are familiar with these topics as well. What is the role of the government? What is the role of political parties? And what is the role of individual politicians in taking responsibility to guarantee that elections are conducted in a secure and responsible way, in taking steps towards cyber resilience throughout elections? What can be done on your experience?
That's really an important question, because the really traditional understanding is that the government organizes elections and that's it, that they are the main stakeholders without any other, let's say, important interlocutors around this. But actually, the role of the parties, for example, and the candidates, the individual candidates, is also very, very important. That their awareness of the risks and their also actions during the campaign and during the active election period is also crucial. That if they are, let's say, they run into some, let's say, adverse actions during the campaign period, that might throw a very, very dark shadow on the whole process, on the whole, let's say, campaign period as such. That's why, for example, in the Estonian case, for years now, the government actually offers the opportunity for parties and individual candidates to check their IT systems and their possibility to be sure, to verify that the systems they are using are actually safe and secure, so that although they are not part of the official, let's say, election organization process, they are part of the ecosystem of elections. So that's why it's really important not to, let's say, forget those let's say, crucial parts of the election ecosystem as well.
Thank you, Priit, very much. But of course, so as not to keep this just an inter-Estonian discussion, I would like to bring in more voices from the panel. Dusan, would you perhaps, well, I mean, basically, as your minister very eloquently already explained to us, following the August last year cyber attacks in Montenegro, where the national infrastructure was hit, most key stakeholders in Montenegro have clearly become aware of the urgency of improving national cybersecurity. And we from the Governance Academy have seen that through personal experience of interacting with you and various agencies in Montenegro throughout the past year. What, however, would you say are your key lessons learned from that crisis? And perhaps, as this report is about Montenegro, could you share some of your comments or reactions about the report?
Yes, thank you, Merle. I'm just listening, Priit, what he said about the election in Montenegro and the cyber issue with election systems, and I mostly agree with him. And I want to emphasize the several main issues. Most of them he mentioned. First of all, it's cyber hygiene, which is, I think, really important, and also the raising awareness is very important. Not even in the case of the cyber issue in an election campaign, I would like to remark the networking between the institution, which is also so crucial. We faced, as we said, with the huge and massive attack on our government infrastructure and our network. And in these days, the networking between institutions was one of the most important things. And also, I would like to say that the international cooperation in this period was also something what we really need. And back to the election campaign topic. In the previous period in the Montenegro, every election has these were accompanied with some cyber attacks, but not only cyber. It was also the hybrid threats. Also, disinformation is something what we always has in this period. So, and after this last year in August cyber attack, we have two election campaign in our country. It was an election campaign for the president of Montenegro and a parliamentary election campaign. And through this period, we have increased number of cyber attacks on our infrastructure. But because we learned some lessons from the period of the August of last year, we have appropriate response for this attack, but we believe that we need to work much more and to invest more in the cyber resilience in our country.
Thank you. Could you perhaps outline from the activities that have been particularly focusing on election security, cybersecurity, capacity building, what do you think was particularly relevant and useful?
Yeah, I would like to express my helpful for support what we have first through the Cyber Rapid Response project by a European Union, which is implementing by EGA, and it was very useful that first time that we have in Montenegro expert which dealing with the cyber in election campaign, and I think that is exchanging experience with these experts help us to improve our resilience, but also I'm very pleased because of this little book, this report what we have from PRIT and from EGA, and we need to listen to read it very carefully and to prioritize, because I saw in this report the different category and different priority and with the risk. So we need to improve our resilience, to use this report, which could show us how we need to work in upcoming, not months, I would like to say, in upcoming days.
Right. Well, Italy now turning to you and turning to Albania. Also, since last summer, Albania saw unprecedented cyber attacks to their infrastructure directly linked to national foreign policy. The outcome of these attacks included diplomatic action that had never been seen before or linked before with cybersecurity-related activities. So. Nevertheless, it's really a true pleasure to see that after the attacks, the Albanian government has really undertaken a number of measures to address some of the key issues, and we, from the part of the Governance Academy, have definitely observed a significant progress. Could you perhaps share with us some of the ingredients of that progress? And some of the area that I think is relevant more broadly, where you perhaps can share some wisdom with the audience, is the interagency cooperation. Interagency cooperation, I think, is absolutely key in cyber resilience. You need to cooperate with others. You need to understand who are your partners and allies in crisis. It's useful to think through how can government and industry work better together, and whether the current cooperation mechanisms are sufficient and working. Could you perhaps share with us some of the aspects of that field from Albania?
Thank you very much, first of all, for having me. It's my pleasure being here. And yes, in fact, we have had very severe attacks, which started since last year, from the middle of July. And the attacks carry on since that day. And due to this situation, we were forced to switch swiftly in order to be resilient against one actor, which originated not from any group, criminal group, but from one state, which definitely end up in cutting the diplomatic relationship with that state in order to, let's say, blame them or blame it for attacking in unprovoked way our country. So the attack was very severe. But before I discuss for attack, I want to stress out that the Albanian government has a very high focus in digitalization. Not now, but a few years ago, we have started a very deeply and long process for digitalization of public services, which are located in one agency called National Agency Information Society. So the reason why we have been attacked is because we have digitalized more than 95–96% of the public services which are hosted in this hub, in this center. So it was very attractive for them to attack us, even though that they didn't have success. So, but anyhow, we had the series of attacks carried on with Albania State Police and some other energy sector, with some other sectors, and end up in financial sectors. So the goal was very clear: to paralyze our infrastructure and to create the panic. A cyber attack, in fact, is not only technology, but even is a hybrid, because they use even the media to create the panic toward the people, especially when they refer to financial sector. So definitely, we understood that cybersecurity should be more closed with digital transformation. We are in the digital transformation age, this digital transformation epocha, but we understood that we have to invest more in cybersecurity. And at this regard, we recompose the whole cybersecurity structure in National Authority for Cybersecurity, which is responsible for imposing the cybersecurity to all critical infrastructure. The first thing that we did is that we tried to share or let's say to empower the trust between the critical infrastructures and national cybersecurity and government. And then we extend the number of critical infrastructures, which before the attack was roughly 100, and now we have 500, which cover not only governance, but it extends to financial sector, to energy, to transport, to healthcare, to education, to media, to independent agencies. So it's a big scope. And at this regard, we try to do proactive and reactive actions. More concretely, after we frequently create a calendar for meeting all the critical infrastructure in order to know each other much better, because we know very good that if we know each other, it is much easier to share the problem with each other. It's much easier to share the issue. If we are isolated, for sure we cannot share the problem. So we understood, and we try to dissolve the walls between the critical infrastructure or economic operators and national cybersecurity authority. And next step is that we started to set up laboratories for proactive and reactive activities, which belongs to threat hunters group. We create a threat hunters group which analyze threats, red team groups which check the vulnerability. We create a group for forensics investigation, reactive, for risk assessment, and more concretely, we understood that we should empower the network, especially with our strategic partners, such as US and European Union. Definitely, I want to thank EGA for support, especially in capacity building, because if you want to go further, you have to invest in brain, and so you understood very good, and you help us in this line and these directions, and along with it, we understood that we should set up, beside the strategic plan and risk assessment, we should invest in operational plan and technical plan in order to react in a short term against adversity. I might say that now we are much stronger, but still, I guess that as every Balkan country, we are very small countries, we have limited resources, and limited resources started with the budget. We immediately understood that the demands for investing in cybersecurity is very high, while the opportunity to react and to be resilient against adversity is very low. So this gap needs to be dissolved as much as we can, and day by day we are working on it. So demands, we know where is the target, we know where is what we expect to, and we know what we have, let's say, what are our opportunities. But finally, I want to stress out that alone, we cannot do that. We cannot be resilient. Cybersecurity is a global vision, so this forum is for sure very important, and the collaboration among Western Balkan with each other, and of course in the sun of European Union and US, will serve and will help us in order to be more resilient. For sure, this is a war, and it will last long because it just started. Balkan is very attractive, unfortunately. Every country is attractive, in fact, but Balkan, I don't know why, is very attractive for some enemy countries. So I guess that if we do not take the concrete steps, and if we stay alone, even though that we might have different, let's say, history or different background, but in the cyber, we have the one common issue, that to be together in order to be resilient.
Very good. Concrete steps and taking concrete steps is something that we like very much here in Estonia. We are very concrete. So building on what you said, what could be some of the concrete steps? And this is a question perhaps both to you, Igli, and to you, Dusan. What could you propose? Some, say, top 3 steps to take towards better regional cooperation in cybersecurity in the Western Balkans?
Yeah, we share same issue in our region. It's some of them are coming from the maybe because our economy is now developed appropriate, and in previous period we did not finance our cyber defense in our country. So when we put some keynotes and focus, I would like to say that one of the most important thing is education. Education, knowledge, and experience. When we face this with this massive attack in the last year, we do not have enough experience for counter strike with this attack. We don't have enough knowledge, of course. We have, let's say, we have support from your project, Cyber Rapid Response, and as you know, we organize several trainings and workshops for not only for employees of government cert and even for all agency in our country and also in regional country. And it was a really great experience to share our knowledge with our colleagues from the region. And because, as you know, we have an attack in the August of last year, and our colleagues in Albania also have attack maybe 1 or 2 months before us. And in that time, we did not share enough information between our two states, but we must make a better collaboration between regional states, because we can use our experience and our resources, because we do not have too much resources in our countries. So I believe that we need to work on, let's say, on forming a cyber rapid response teams, regional teams, who can share resources for every country in the region. I think that idea could be very useful for all of our countries.
Excellent idea. Igli, would you have something to add?
Yes, thank you. I can say that we, as a Western Balkan, I might highlight 5 topics or 5 pillars that we should move and we should go through it. The first one is, as my colleague mentioned, is we have to share the knowledge with each other by starting with threats, vulnerabilities. More concretely, some second-level banks which operate in Albania at the same time have the branches to Montenegro or vice versa, or Macedonia. So it means that if the bank in Montenegro is being attacked, sooner or later it will be attacked, this bank in Albania. So by sharing threats, it means that by sharing the TTP, technical, tactical, and procedures that the enemy is using, we might be in advance more resilient against adversity. So the first is sharing. Sharing by sharing threats, sharing vulnerabilities, and sharing experience, which means that the experts in Montenegro, Macedonia, Serbia, Bosnia, Kosovo can create that form which we might call cyber coalition. This might be the second pillar. Cyber coalition means that to have a calendar in which we schedule the meetings and sharing workshop, organize workshop, and so on, in order to share the knowledge and the problems with each other. The third is the support for capacity building. I might congratulate the Montenegro for the which is very which is in the much forwarder than Albania, because they have built up the cyber academia in the collaboration with the European Union. And I guess that cyber academia is something that you might go further, because you invest in the brain. Only in Albania, for example, this year we need more than 700 experts, because the new cyber law imposes all the economic operators to have at least 3 experts. So we need, it is a big gap, even for big countries. Imagine we can realize what's going on in a small country. So we have to think about how to find this capacity, how to find these peoples. So maybe together we can discuss for capacity building, not only with experts, but they can penetrate in the curricula of universities, in research, in laboratory, even more in high schools, and in order to have a prospective security cyber ecosystem to extend in elementary school as Israeli model. This is the third. The fourth is all the Western Balkan should be in the projects of cybersecurity which are launched from European Union. Western Balkan country could not be excluded because cybersecurity is the global vision. Of course, every country has its own task to do in order to be more, as much as it can, compliance with European Union directive. But as far as I know, for example, Albania has very good and in compliance, fully compliance with NIS2 directive. I guess even the Montenegro, my colleague might admit it, has done a very good progress, and so we are in fully compliance with NIS2 directive. So since we are fully compliant with NIS2 directive in cybersecurity law, in a trusted service law, in methodology in which we classify critical and important infrastructures, we should be part of European Union organizations, and then we should get beneficiary from EU project. This is the fourth. And the fifth is cyber diplomacy. We should have one voice when we talk to European Union. I know very good that Albanians are, let's say, have a different background with the rest of Western Balkan because most of them are Slavic and we are not Slavic. But when we reach to, yeah, for sure. But when we reach to the cybersecurity, we are Western Balkan. And when we reach how we can collaborate with European Union and West and the US, we should delete the rest of the countries which are not guests or which are not very friendly with us, but we should see only one light which originated from European Union and from US, and so we should have, of course, it's beyond me and beyond my colleagues, but I'm sure that in the moment that we want to be in the same line with the directive of European Union, we have to forget some other countries and to focus in directives and the politics and the regulatory of European Union and US. So cyber diplomacy should be, for me, the fifth column that need to be upgraded, improved between Western Balkan in order to have one voice, one attitude with our partners. Thank you.
Very nice. Priit, I will let you comment, and I would then really like to open the panel up, open up for questions from the audience. So if anybody has a question, feel free to already signal so we can have the microphone coming to you. But Priit, please.
Yes, really quickly, I just wanted to reiterate something that has been mentioned, but really just to let it shine a bit more. It's about planning and risk evaluations. That's really something that has to be much more, not only in the Western Balkan region, but everywhere, that risk aversion and planning beforehand is really something that needs to be, that there's much, let's say, reactivity currently. So that if something happens, let's scramble for the solutions. But risk planning, risk evaluations are then followed by drills and exercises which really prepare the actual cases that might come, and together with that, regular auditing, testing, and plans for improvement really go hand in hand with that, so that you have concrete plans that you get improved also in time, because that also needs budgeting, that needs time for preparations. So planning. I think just wanted to reiterate that as well.
Very wise. Thank you. Dusan, please.
Yes, I have inspiration through the speech of my colleague from Albania, Ili. Let's say the regional cooperation is so crucial and so important. Ili have explained the 5 pillars. I want to emphasize this one about the education. The reason why I mentioned education, it's so important, the trainings and as he mentioned, we established the regional center for education for cybercrime, cyber security, and cyber diplomacy, which is France initiative in Slovenia, and Montenegro is based in Podgorica. But this center is not formed only for Montenegro, and
It's a regional
expert
center.
in Montenegro. It's a regional center, and we believe that should become a regional hub for education for these 3 pillars. On example, I know that there is a lot of progress in Albania, that they are planning a laboratory for cybersecurity, and every of these countries should be specialized from some of these pillars and share the resources for other countries. So I believe that the future of Western Balkan is for sure in European Union, but also we need to have a cyber resilience together to improve together resilience in our region.
Very good. I cannot agree more. And I know that you are full of good ideas, but I would really like to bring the audience in here as well, so that what we talk about here on the panel is more responsive to the questions. I saw Solza, you had a question. Perhaps you can present yourself and ask us.
My name is Solza Kovačevska from North Macedonia. I had one question for Mr. Tafa and also for the other panelists. Mr. Tafa, you said that digital transformation and cybersecurity go hand in hand. So Albanian model is centralized for the data and systems. You are having one data center which serves all institutions and with government cloud, as opposed to the decentralized model where different institutions host their own systems and they exchange data using a secure system such as X-Road. So regarding cost saving, this is a better model. But regarding cybersecurity, is this a good approach? Because all the systems are using the same technology stack and they are concentrated in one place, so it makes it sweet target for hackers. So the question is the centralized model for data and services better option regarding cyber resilience than the decentralized model?
Thank you. Very thorough. Maybe are there any other questions, perhaps? I see a hand up there. Maybe we can gather a few and then come back. Yes, I see a hand up in the back and in the front here as well.
Thank you. Milan Sikorski, EGA as well, but I'm also coming from the Balkans. So I would kindly ask our panelists from the Balkans. They've spoken really nicely about the need for the regional cooperation. But I would like to ask them to be devil's advocates and to tell us when it comes to threat intelligence sharing concretely, especially around the elections, what are actually the obstacles for having that more, and to turn that into around and tell us also where do you see the opportunities for more effective threat intelligence sharing, especially around the elections. And maybe same question to Preet, to share with us maybe some of the good practices from Estonia around getting threat intelligence information from neighbors and partners ahead of the elections.
Very good. There was, yes, a hand up right behind you, please. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kimmo Rousku from Finnish Digital Agency. One simple question, and thank you for excellent discussion so far. So what kind of cyber exercises do you arrange? That's my question.
Good question. And last but not least, Dusan here, maybe you can present yourself and then we can come back to the panel.
Yeah, sure. Hi. My name is Dusan Krkotic and I'm a head of government CERT within Montenegro. And my question is from Dr. Iglu. So from what I read in a newspaper, Albania actually cut the diplomatic, this is what I read in the newspaper, diplomatic relationship with Iran due to contributed to the cyber attack. So was there any cyber diplomatic measures taken in order to try to de-escalate the situation with the country?
Sorry, cyber?
Was there any like a cyber diplomatic actions taken in order to try to de-escalate the situation prior to actually cutting the diplomatic relationship with the country? And the second question is again something that I read in a newspaper. It's that there were some IT administrators actually charged by the prosecutor in Albania due to their negligence for updating the system. So if you can comment, I know you are not a prosecutor, but if you can comment about this, if you know anything about that, what was the conclusion to the case and whether that's actually true, because these are the information from the newspaper. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Feels like Igli, you've been put on the spot, but but I hope you don't mind, because worse than being talked about is not being talked about. I think it's, well, please comment some of the questions.
Yes. Thank you very much, everybody, for the question. I want just to add something before I started the answer for each question, is that beside the proactive, when I refer to cyber coalition, beside the proactive actions, very important is reactive action. So incident response should be one of the topics in which we should collaborate together, because both countries have the common history. We had an incident with GDCO in government and in other sectors, and we try to recover by, let's say, by our side. Of course, the guys did a very excellent work, but for sure it is important in the perspective to have the support and collaboration, even for incident response, as a one team with Western Balkan country and of course with European Union. Regarding the first question about if it is good or bad, about the hybrid or central or distributed digital services. In fact, this is a very long debate. There are two philosophies, but I guess that cybersecurity is not affected if all the services are centralized, because even though that in the first sight it might look that if they are separated, one attack affects only isolated service and doesn't affect to the rest, but in the perspective of manageable control, standard implementation, policies and procedures, and countermeasures is more effective to have all of them in one center. I want to stress out that, in fact, now we are thinking about that is a hybrid form in which we have most of the services in on-prem and some other in cloud, and by having even the business continuity plan with disaster recovery side, and by improving and empowering the technology, investment in technology, in standards, in people process technology and in people, for sure, I keen on to have all the services in one center and not to have, let's say, distributed. I consider is more efficient, especially in the form of manageable. This is the first answer that.
And then there were specific questions regarding the cyber diplomacy and the latest news, I understand on.
Yes, regarding to the cyber diplomacy, in fact, we were forced to cut the relationship between Albania, of course, and the Islamic State of Iran, because the attack was unprovoked. Is in the middle of the day. We haven't had any reason why to be attacked in such severe or in such sophisticated way. The attack was very orchestrated, and so we were forced to do that. Regarding to the other action about the cyber diplomacy, I guess that I want to stress something, that we are 100% in the light and in the same step with US and European Union. So the rest for us has not any, and there's no doubt. The rest for us is, for me at least, it belongs not to me, because it's for the government. So others, let's say, reasons and other actions, or what is behind this, I cannot, unfortunately, I cannot give more information. Regarding to the prosecutor office system, we have started a very deep digitalization and transformation system by renovating most of the platforms and the systems that are in the public services. And as part of it, for sure, is a prosecutor office. So we have more than 1,250 services, public services, only which belong to government, and they are not only renovated and renewed and modernized in order to be in compliance with technology, but we are integrated with artificial intelligence in order to be more convenient for citizens. So I don't know if I give the answer.
I think that was plenty. Thank you, Igli.
Yeah, okay.
Allowing
rest, if you wish,
for other tools. No.
The next one is for
I would bring in Dusan here and Preet perhaps also. Dusan, there was this question on the threat intel sharing opportunities between neighbors.
Yes,
what would you say
yes,
on that?
I just want to add just one comments about these centralized or distributed solution. I agree with my colleagues about the better approach from our point of view, and because of our legal framework also is a centralized solution. So I agree with that, and also I would like to mention that we have a different kind of exercises, and some of them are on the crisis management, some of them on risk management. There is also workshop education about the cyber hygiene and risk awareness, and let's say different type of exercises and workshops which were implemented by these projects we already have. So about that is mostly. I just want to add one more thing about the attribution of the attacks, because in our country we didn't attribute attack like our colleagues from Albania, and I think that we need to much more improve our capacity in forensic, because when you attribute someone, you need to be 100% sure. We didn't have enough capacity in our country to make appropriate attribution. It's not only capacities. As you probably know, we have support from the FBI and the support from French agency, and they also make reports from these cyber attacks, and we do not have 100% attribution. And I think that when I said that we need to improve our capacity, we need to improve it also in forensic, which is most important. And I believe that we will have opportunity through the new project of Cyber Balkans to also improve capacity for forensic in our country.
Thank
so
you.
next time the cyber attacks will happen again, of course, and we would like to have enough knowledge in government cert, in cyber security agency in Montenegro to make attribution.
Excellent. Well, with this, as not to lose the last committed listeners, I will actually wrap up this panel. I thank you very much and leave the last words to Mr. Hannes Astok, the Executive Director of EGA.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this excellent panel, Dusan, Igli, Priit, Merle. Thank you for Peter and Maras for keynotes. Thank you very much. And just wanted to wrap up that this was about the currently running project, Cybersecurity Rapid Response for Albania, Montenegro, and Macedonia. But we're just starting another project, EU support for 6 Western Balkans countries for cybersecurity capacity building. So you will hear about Western Balkans and the developments more and more. And most probably already the next good opportunity is in e-governance conference in Estonia in 2024, what will take place 22nd to 23rd of May in Tartu, Estonia. So once again, thank you very much for all presenters, moderators. Thank you for technical staff and everyone who assisted to make this interesting discussion happening. Thank you very much. Session is over. Thank you.